This video is based on labour productivity and is a topic within AQA AS Business Studies Unit 4 with regards to operations. So considering productivity just in general for now, it just measures the efficiency or the rate of production. So in terms of the amount of output per unit of input. So in terms of how much you can produce with the given resources. But in terms of labour productivity, the given resources or the factor of production would be obviously labour. So what this does, labour productivity, it measures the amount of output per worker. And the formula is output per period in units divided by the number of employees at work. So the best way to really to know this formula inside out is just simply practice. Practice makes perfect. Use your textbooks. Again, I've got some questions within this video, but just try and practice as much as possible. So there's 3 questions here, all different scenarios. All helps you to measure labour productivity. So question 1, a business has an average number of 42 employees and their annual output has been 1.5 million units. Question 2, a company has a labour productivity rate of 714 units per employee and have 14 employees. What is their output level? So that's kind of a reversal of the formula. And question number 3, a company had 15 employees and output at 750,000 units. However, now they've increased their workforce by 5 additional employees and this has caused a 20% increase in output. What is their new labour productivity rate? So what I'd recommend is you pause the video, use obviously the formula that we've got here and have a go at the questions, and then what I'll do is I'll go over how it should be demonstrated, how the calculation should be shown and the type of answer that we're looking for. So question number 1, as we can see, we've got 1.5 million units divided by our 42 employees, and that gives us a labour productivity rate of 35,714.3 units per employee. Okay, so within that given time period. Now this time we have to reverse the formula because before obviously we can see that you divide, but at that point we didn't know what the labour productivity rate it was. So we know what the labour productivity rate is, we know what the amount of employees are, so therefore we need to work out how much total output they have produced in that given time period. So you do 714 in terms of your productivity rate, times it by the employees, 14, and that gives you 9,996 units of output. Now if you were to double check that, then do your usual formula, your 9,996 units divided by your amount of labour, and you should get 714 units per employee. Okay, so remember the final answer should be measured in units per employee. The next one. Now, for question 3, their current labour productivity rate would be 750,000 divided by 15, and that would get you 50,000 units per employee. But circumstances have changed, the situation's changed. They've recruited more workers and they've managed to increase output. Now, the question is, with the increase in labour, has it made them more productive or has it actually made them less productive? So let's have a look. So initially what I've done is I've done my increase, sorry, that's meant to say 1.2. So I've done 750,000 times by 1.2 because that's a 20% increase, and that would get me 900,000. But then there's another part to this, and I have to think about my 15 plus 5 because my recruitment has happened, so that's obviously 20. So I do my 900,000 divided by 20, and that should give me a labour productivity rate of 45,000 units per employee. Now, obviously that tells you that the labour productivity rate has fallen because before it was 50,000 and now it's 45,000. So with the increase in staff, it's actually had a negative impact on the business in terms of productivity, and now we're producing 5,000 on average per workforce. Within each employee, they're producing 5,000 less. Now, the reasons for that, it could be maybe hiring. Just because you hire more workers doesn't mean you're going to boost productivity. What actually it might mean is it becomes more inefficient, and maybe the factory floor becomes more crowded. there isn't enough equipment to go around all employees. So actually it negatively impacts the previous employees and the new employees as well. In terms of what boosts labour productivity, I've looked at 4 key factors. Initially, you have to think about the skill level of the employee. If the employee is more skilled and they become an expert, they become specialised within that role, then you'd expect them to be much more productive. Now, in terms of what improves the skill level of employees, you need to look at the investment in training. What's the training like for that company? Do they invest in training? Do they have specialists that come in to train their workers? Or, for example, it could be on-the-job, off-the-job training. Regardless of the approach to training, it has to be obviously well developed and well invested in, because the better trained the employees are, first of all, they'll actually appreciate the investment within them, but also it'll improve their skill level, it'll develop them. So what you should have is a highly skilled person should be able to produce more units of output in a given time period than a less qualified person. Also, you could think about the motivation in terms of how motivated the worker is. If you've got an employee who is demotivated, then you could probably argue that they're not going to be as productive. So you could argue in terms of the more motivated the employee is, the more productive they're going to be. They're going to want to work harder and they might be more able to work hard. It might be related to the setup of the company. Do they have the adequate tools available for the workers? Do they have the equipment? Do they have the use of maybe capital goods that assist the labour? Because, again, if the employees have the necessary tools, they have the necessary equipment, they have the necessary machinery, then that, again, is also going to boost their labour productivity. Other factors could be, it depends on the type of worker they are maybe. If they're a Theory Y worker and they're more aspirational, then they might be willing to go that extra yard and go above and beyond. So they could be potentially more productive. It could be based on the leadership style. That also does relate to motivation, but maybe, for example, a laissez-faire approach might work well with productivity if they've got the skill level to obviously adhere to it. So if the laissez-faire allows them to be more free, that freedom could maybe boost productivity, or it could have a negative impact and it could actually reduce the productivity because they've been given too much freedom. Again, it could be to do with their ability to achieve economies of scale. If they're able to achieve economies of scale from maybe, for example, managerial economies of scale, then you're looking at the type of management employees that they have. Again, highly skilled, and it boosts that efficiency. Other types of economies of scale could help that as well. Now, if they're bordering on diseconomies of scale, then that suggests that they're actually becoming inefficient for some of the examples that I gave before in terms of the increase in workers, perhaps. Maybe communication breakdown, maybe coordination breakdown. Maybe they've got too many levels of management and therefore that's causing slower decision-making and bureaucratic diseconomies of scale, which again would, I suppose, hamper labour productivity.